All right, good morning, everyone. Let me get going. All right. U.S. markets traded well overnight from the initial lows. We were down, I think, 10 plus points. We traded back to about flat line, which I think was an incredibly good result. The reason I think we sold off kind of middle of the day, especially in the European session, was because of comments out of Italian politician Bersani ruling out the formation of a coalition government. And I think that the market's just a little bit worried that Italy's a bit of a mess at the moment. You can see that Italian yields, this morning Italian 10-year yields are up another 4.5%, and we saw the euro kind of blowing out yesterday a little bit, but it doesn't look all scary. I think things like the oil price and certain indicators are still hanging in there pretty well. So rand's looking reasonably strong, so it doesn't look too scary. And you saw the U.S. manage to recover from all of that yesterday afternoon. We did have a weak session out of the east overnight, specifically I think led out of China, with the government kind of set a negative tone, saying that the latest restrictive move that they're going to put in place to strengthen checks on the underlying assets on a range of the wealth management products there. And I think that obviously people are really worried about the fact that there are a lot of, or not even worried about it, they know that there's a lot of, financial products that are out there in China right now, a lot of black markets, lending, what do they call it, shadow banking. And I think that's obviously why it put some pressure on the markets there. Banks were big underperformers, property companies were big underperformers on the back of that. So just keep that in mind today, that I think that the U.S. market was reasonably strong, and Asia was kind of more specific to the reason why it was down. There's a handful of stocks going to ex-div. We talked about them the last 2 days, ABSA, Nedbank, RMI, and ABI. So don't get caught up in those this morning. There will obviously have a significant move in the open, so just keep those in mind. Write those numbers down if you need to. All right, and the market data today. There's quite a lot out today. We've got consumer confidence in the UK. That was yesterday. We have industrial profits that were out of China overnight that were significantly better. We had nationwide house prices of the UK this morning. We've got unemployment change and unemployment rate out of Germany. We've got business confidence in Italy. Trade balance here locally, which could be a big one for us. It's been moving the rand quite significantly the last little while. So watch that at 2 o'clock, especially if you're trading in some of the dual listeds. Then we've got U.S. GDP, initial jobless claims, and PMI later in the States this afternoon. So quite a bit to look out for today in terms of market data. All right, we're going to jump into the maps. First thing I want to show is MTN. Yesterday we saw some news break on MTN that we had already heard about, but it was more than what we had heard about. I think initially everyone thought that we were going to just get connection rates that were going to be cut by 40% in Nigeria. It looks like they're cutting core rates by 40%, which I think is more than expected. To me, that's the weakness for the reason for weakness that we saw in MTN yesterday. We know 164 is a level yesterday, is a level in the stock. We kind of closed it's actually a 163.50. You can see there we closed right on it. So we closed right at support, I think, in MTN. We were trading below it for the last hour and a half of the day. I think it's pretty key that we did hold 163.50. Be interesting to see how we trade today on the back of that after the market has a little bit more time to digest it, and analysts will have a little bit more time to see how that'll affect the numbers. I wanted to show this not only because of that, and also show Vodacom, because I think that there's more to the story than that, and I think the reason why we saw such an intense sell-off, not only in MTN yesterday, but also in Vodacom, typically, obviously, that not that I don't know of any interest that Vodacom has in Nigeria. Obviously, MTN's got the big presence there, but what's interesting is that if South Africa takes their lead from what's going on in Nigeria, and South African government's kind of known for following what a lot of other governments do, and they see something, they think, hey, that's quite a good idea, and they decide to put it into place. So I think that, and there's already been talk of that happening in the past. So I think the real worry and the real potential overhang in these telecoms here locally is that they do the exact same thing here locally. If they do that, these companies are going to shed big numbers. So just be careful of that, and there could be a little bit of negative sentiment overhang on the back of that if we're going to do that locally. Vodacom broke down through 112 again yesterday, which we know is a big level here in terms of support. The last level of support really is right where we closed, around 110.50, and you can really even throw it at 110 down here, which is right where that other level is. So I would say 110 is the last level in the sand. I'll draw it back a little bit there. You can see there's zero support below 110, all the way down to $100 in Vodacom. So I think if we get to close below 110, it could be a great opportunity for full completion of this head and shoulder pattern. And I think it's realistic to think that it could get there because of some of this negative sentiment that we may see on the back of the worries in South Africa do the same thing as Nigeria. All right, next one I'm going to look at is we're going to jump into a 5-year on Sasol. We were looking at this the other day. I was watching this one closely 2 days ago to see if we broke out from here, and we obviously didn't. We failed at touch north of 420 there to break out of kind of trendline resistance. We are still very much in an uptrend. You can see here that we are still in quite a nice uptrend that's starting to narrow a little bit, but we failed at 420 nevertheless. So something to watch out for. I mean, we could see a reasonable pullback here. I mean, the one thing is the oil price is trading better than any of the other commodities, but just note that right up here around touch north of 420, there is big resistance in Sasol on the longer term charts. All right, I'm going to actually show a 3-month chart on Sibanye. Interesting, because this thing has had such big volumes trading for the size of the actual company, and it's just been ripping back and forth. I mean, you can see we traded to 16.50, then got all the way down to about $12, literally on about 4 or 5 trading sessions. Then kind of 2-3 weeks later, we were all the way back north of 15. Then we got back down to 12.50 day before yesterday, and then yesterday we were traded all the way back up to 13.45. So, we've really seen some big rips around in this stock. It seems like there's been some big overhang. Whoever has been selling in Goldfields, has been the Goldfields seller for the past month or so, seems to also be selling these Sibanye. But we are pushing up against what is a short-term trend line, obviously, because the stock's only been listed for about 3 months. But trend line nonetheless, right here around 1340. If we can get to 1350 on a closing basis and close there, I think we're breaking out here from a bit of a downtrend in Sibanye. So could be something to watch out for if you're interested in taking a position there. Old Mutual, I want to show this on. I'll just shorten it up a little bit here, but we've broken down from this 28.50 level, which was really real support for Mutual. We broke through that yesterday quite solidly. I wish I would have shown this one yesterday because we didn't close that far above it. The first level of support really comes in around here. It's looking at around 27.70 on support. I'll show it as well on the UK chart. Just out of interest, so that you guys can see I think it's 203 was really support here in London. We broke that level yesterday on a closing basis, and I think we could trade down significantly from here. So it could be one to watch out for. If we take this range, we could have another the breakdown from the top of this range to where we're breaking support here. You could look for another 10p to the downside in London, which would kind of take us down close to around 2770 or 2750 or something like that here locally. So keep an eye on mutual for maybe a shorter term play. All right, last couple I'm going to show you international stocks here. I'm going to show Tullow Oil. And we're pushing right up against resistance, making a bit of a flag here, and I think one to watch out for today, if we can break above 1265 in Tullow Oil, I think we can really push higher. We haven't got a really nice push in the oil price over the last few sessions. So it's trading the best of all the commodities. You've seen the oil stock start to run a little bit in the States again. This could be an interesting nice little breakout play above 1267 until oil, above 1265. And the last one I'm going to show is Mednex out of the States. When we had a little breakout yesterday above resistance here around $88, I believe. 88.20. We broke out in Mednex above 88.20 from a range that the little consolidation pattern from about 84.20. So I think we can expect potentially about a 4 rand move to the upside from 88.20, which we've also already put in about $1.50, but we can probably see another $2.50 over the next couple of days in Mednex. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.